The Texas spring game. Yes, friends, I watched it. Josh, did you see Arch Manning? If I was asked once, I was asked about 1,000,001 times. I saw Arch. Go ahead. And what? He looked really good. He's a good quarterback. Always has been, contrary to semi-popular belief. Quarterback controversy? What's a quarterback controversy? Well, Josh, that's when you have multiple good quarterbacks. That's not controversial, friend. We've never even believed in quarterback controversy as a phrase on this show. As Meemaw taught me growing up, the only quarterback controversy is when you don't have one at all. Having multiple quarterbacks is a very, very good thing. In past lives, they called that competition. Apparently today it's a controversy. Hey, follow-up question, friends, for as good as Arch Manning looked yesterday, and he looked really good. 355 through the air and 3 touchdowns. Hey, how'd Quinn Ewers look all spring? Why didn't he play a lot yesterday? He wasn't injured. Why didn't he play a lot? As I stroke my chin, if I didn't know any better, I'd think Sark and company know who their starting quarterback is there, and they wanted to showcase other guys. And you know what? As good as Arch Manning was yesterday, I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm sitting there saying, hold up, Trey Owens looks really good as well. And that's not a quarterback whose name you know a lot around the nation, but, in burnt orange and white circles they do. He would start at some places. This right here, I was reading some of Jeff Howe's work over on Horns 24/7. This is really a testament to how good that program is right now at evaluating the quarterback position and recruiting the quarterback position. Trey Owens brought him in. He's a 4-star true freshman, 6'5", 236. He's out of Cypress, Texas. Go watch his film if you haven't. Go watch his film from the spring game. I'm convinced this dude would be rushed into starting at some places, much less if some other places had Arch Manning. Malik Murphy was there this time last year, and he popped off in the spring game last year, and then a bunch of folks came after him in the portal, and he stayed. And I assume that these guys will stay at Texas. I don't know one way or the other. I assume they'll stay at Texas. What a loaded quarterback room they have there. So the spring game view is kind of the equivalent of the old hot air balloon view. Take from it what you should take from it. It can be deceiving if you don't know any better. If you didn't know any better, you'd think Arch Manning was the overwhelming favorite to start for Texas. Arch is not quarterback one at Texas, nor should he be. He's not the guy that gives them the best chance to win. Quinn Ewers is. That's why he'll be the starter come this fall unless injury crops up. So, teams are like heat maps. I was talking about Georgia last week, and I described Georgia this way, and I'll describe Texas this way. And you need to understand, if you're a Texas fan and you've never watched this show before, we have about a half a dozen teams per year that we elevate into that year's Tier 1, and we use a more fine-tooth comb when we're talking about you. So there's a ton to love about Texas. Just like Bama for the past decade and a half, it's pointless to just sit here effusive in your praise of Alabama or Georgia now. Everybody knows they're good. Teams are like heat maps, though. So the heat map for Texas is a whole lot of red, but inevitably, even the great teams, even the loaded teams, there are going to be little pockets of blue. Where are the weak points? Well, you don't have to wonder. Sark told you. Defensive tackle depth and secondary play. And they are quickly on their way, I think, to addressing that. But you're not going to match what Sweat and Murphy gave this team last year. They had 941 snaps last year and were borderline impenetrable against the run. They won't match that. And it's foolish to think they will. Now, they can, in the aggregate, try and be as good as they can there and be better in other areas to make up for that. But they won't match that. Get close enough. And then look around and realize this receiver room's really good. And elsewhere, just on this roster in general, they look really good. I think their defensive end, I think their pass rush in general could be one of the best in the country this year. Texas is going to be one of those classic earn the right to rush the passer type teams. And that is the type of team where they're elite on the edge. And you get an obvious passing downs, and they can get after you, and they can wreck a football game. The worst thing that can happen there is not your quarterback getting sacked. The worst thing that can happen is them forcing a turnover, whether through a sack, forced fumble, or bad decision, ball put up in the air when it shouldn't have. Texas can do that, but they got to put themselves in position to. That's why those interior guys are so important. See, before you can ever get to 3rd and 9, it takes a 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, third and 9, that's how you get there. But if they're running it for 8 yards a pop on early downs, then it doesn't really ever put you into an obvious passing down, and therefore you never really get to watch those guys shine. That's why the interior guys are so important, and that's why I'm not calling them bad there. They just lost really, really a good combo there, and we'll see what they do in the portal as well. I know they had defensive line visitors on campus yesterday, and it could be that they've already made moves today. And so, Texas, there are not very many red flags here. I think that was obvious watching yesterday, but even if it looked like it yesterday, your eyes may be deceiving you a little bit there. Texas, I know it hurts to hear. I know some people in the crowd need to go ahead and earmuff it now. Texas can win a national championship this year. They haven't yet in this generation, in this modern, past 5 or 10 years generation, but they can, friends.